Advent, the 3rd of December. Genesis chapter 49, verses 10 to 11. After yesterday, considering the promise made to Abraham that all nations would be blessed through his family line, we jump to the end of the beginning, at the end of Genesis, and over a century later, when Abraham's grandson Jacob is on his deathbed. As death looms over him, he gathers his 12 sons around him and prophesies over them, telling them what will happen to their descendants. Jacob had led an eventful life and was a deeply flawed man, causing devastating heartbreak within his own family through having a succession of wives and deeply favouring the sons of his most loved wife Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin. Thus, it may have been expected he would prophesy that a great future lay ahead for these sons. Or instead, it could have been expected that he would prophesy that his firstborn sons would be the ones through which Abraham's promise would be fulfilled. Instead, as if seeing clearly for the first time as his last breaths approach and as the ties binding him to earth are loosed, he prophesies that one day the promised child would be born through the line of his fourth son, Judah, the son of Leah, whose heart he utterly broke through lack of love. Leah, who had been so lonely and heartbroken by her husband's cruel neglect that God had seen her pain and blessed her with children in her abandonment. It is plain, ordinary, neglected, and ignored, tragically unloved Leah, not the favoured and beautiful Rachel, who God has seen and blessed, and through whom the promise will come.
The sceptre will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from his descendants, until the coming of the one to whom it belongs, the one whom all nations will honour. He ties his foal to a grapevine, the colt of his donkey to a choice vine. He washes his clothes in wine, his robes in the blood of grapes. Genesis 49:10-11.
This is all the more surprising, as it would be centuries before the tribe of Judah was to rise to prominence, with the leaders of Israel coming from other tribes for centuries after these words, with Moses and Samuel coming from Levi's line, Deborah and Gideon from Joseph's, and Saul from Benjamin's. However, 600 years after this prophecy, the tribe of Judah finally did come to prominence through the youngest son of Jesse, a humble shepherd boy who became king, David. 1,000 years after David, and millennia after Jacob, with his dying breath, sees as clearly as he has ever seen and speaks blessing over Judah, the one to whom it belongs is born in a humble stable, with shepherds bearing witness to the birth of hope. One day, this promised one would ride a humble donkey into a city, being proclaimed David's heir as king as he enters, only to be executed brutally a week later. Jacob foresaw a figure with their robes red from the blood of grapes who would save and be honoured by all nations, and millennia after this vision, this descendant would die on a cruel cross. Death, and the enemy from Genesis 3, would seem to have had the final word, tragically ending any hope of restoration of the relationship between God and humanity. 3 days later, everything would be utterly changed forever.